Hey boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about real quick laser weaponry and their viability in real life. Contrary to popular belief, laser weaponry are absolutely potentially put on ships and stuff. What I mean by that is if we wanted to, we could absolutely 100% put effective laser weaponry onto an aircraft carrier. However, the caveat to that isn't power. Power is not an issue. We have a nuclear reactor on our carrier. It's definitely got way more power than it needs, right? The issue is any laser weaponry we have is outclassed by projectile weaponry in space and capability 9 times out of 10 right now. And it's not what you think. Long range laser weaponry is viable, is a potential possibility, but the power output far exceeds what we can potentially output right now. However, close in weapon systems could be a viable option with CWIS, right? We could replace our CWIS with lasers. However, we don't want to. Do you know why? Because the current CWIS system that exists on aircraft carriers is tiny. It requires virtually no space. It fits, I think, something along the lines of 15 feet by 15 feet or something like that, like something crazy small like that. An electrical system and a laser CWIS system would have to span the length of the ship, and let me explain why. Right? So the initial CWIS system would probably be about the same size for capacitors and all sorts of other things. The radar is actually the largest part of the CWIS system to help it identify targets and find them and track them. Um, but it would also require an entirely extensive rework of the electrical system of the ship itself, which is why we won't do it. We would have to run lines multiple times from stem to stern, depending on where we put the CWIS system, and it would fill about the same exact role as the CWIS system we have now, except it would be laser, which means that there would be a lot more specialized mechanical failures that we'd have to deal with. There would be a lot more specialized parts that we'd have to replace and have to deal with, and all sorts of things. Whereas right now, as it is, we use the 20 mil Vulcan on a few weapon systems. That's not just the CWIS, or is it 20 mil? I think it's 20 mil. And so we don't need to replace that. It totally does what it needs to do. It does it exactly just as well as it needs to do it. And so replacing that's just dumb. There's no reason to do it. It's the same reason why it's a similar reason why we're not replacing our main guns with railguns. Because while we could do it, we don't have a need to. The main guns that are normal guns are about as effective, but we actually have production facilities of them and the ammo. Whereas we'd have to start new production lines for railguns on battleships and stuff like that, even though we don't run battleships, that's not the point. And the reason why we phased out battleships in the first place, those 16-inch guns that could hit about 70 kilometers or something like that, were the same exact range that the railguns could reach out to, and were defeated by the Tomahawk, which is the whole reason we scrapped the battleship idea in the first place. So no, we're probably not going to put railguns on everything anytime soon until power requirements either get much lower or it becomes much more viable to shoot things at long range with the railgun, which right now it's not looking like it. So that's, all of that compounds to you would think it would be power. It's not all just a power issue. Now you might be going, oh, but Pillow, you can put lasers on spaceships. Theoretically, yes. Beyond the fact that it would breach the treaty that we have to put weapons in space, um, the reason we don't put lasers in space is because it requires a lot of power. And I know I just said power. What it is isn't the power itself, it's the heat the power would emit. You have to put enough batteries to store enough power to supply that laser system capability to a certain amount of degree. There would be a minimum amount, whereas you could just put a gun there if you really wanted a weapon in space. Yeah, you'd have to deal with recoil, but we have something called ion thrusters that are very tiny and very effective for what they do, and they could dampen recoil no problem. So something to think about when it comes to it. That's why laser weapons aren't used in today's world. However, we are approaching a period of time where we would be able to put laser weapons on spaceships because of how small power supplies are getting. We are definitely still miniaturizing. Miniaturization as a system is still happening in today's world. We're currently looking at several scientific breakthroughs that could happen anytime now. I say anytime. I'm not in the scientific community. I've heard a whole lot of things over the last couple of years that are pointing at a technological renaissance, so to speak, and I am only using that term loosely, in the next coming 5-10 years, um, which will happen because we will finally break a threshold of 3D printing that will allow us to print certain materials that would make everything much better. I know it's happening. I'm waiting for it to happen. Everyone is. It's one of the reasons why I don't upgrade my PC, because there's going to be a huge technological breakthrough soon, and I don't want to upgrade my PC before that happens, right? If I have to, I will, but I'm not looking at it right now. So, that's a quick rundown of what's happening in the scientific community, and as well as, laser weaponry and railguns and why we're not using them and all that stuff. Basically, gun better. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys like and subscribe and all that stuff. Bye!